if I was Jake Paul right now, I would be shitting my pants.
Oh, bro, if I'm fighting this,
it's one of the craziest propositions of all time. This is a 34-year-old Anthony Joshua. This is a terrifying human being. Terrifying. Jake Paul's dead. He's dead. He's not gonna make it.
Joe Rogan just attacked Jake Paul after he shockingly stopped the Anthony Joshua fight, and man, the rage in his voice was like a punch. That December 19th showdown we were all hyped for is now nowhere to be seen. And honestly, what Rogan kept yelling about Joshua's power, monster size, and killer experience exploded exactly as he warned.
It's like you're dealing with a guy who's an Olympic gold medalist, and he's enormous, and he's got vicious knockout power, and he's got immense amount of experience at world-class levels.
This wasn't some mild drama or a YouTube spat gone wrong. This was a full-blown combat sports earthquake. From day one, Joe Rogan was practically yelling to grasp the most obvious fact on earth. Anthony Joshua is not a joke. Joshua is a two-time heavyweight world champion, a man who has put actual monsters to sleep. And Rogan said it bluntly, repeatedly, almost desperately. Jake Paul has no business stepping into a ring with this man. None. But Jake hyped it up, fans bought in, and the December 19th matchup became the biggest boxing headline until Jake pulled the plug and sent everything crashing. Now the entire fight, the date, the contracts, and the event is floating in the air like smoke after an explosion.
That's a scary one for fighters too, because the thrill of cocaine for some reason is things like there's something about fighters are adrenaline junkies. They like to be pumped up, and yeah.
And then when Jake pulled the plug, when he stopped the fight, Rogan snapped. He said this is exactly what he was warning about. He said this mismatch was so dangerous that it was never going to end in anything but panic, fear, and someone scrambling for the exit. And guess what? That someone turned out to be Jake Paul. But the reason Rogan's reaction hit so hard is simple. He had every fact on his side. He wasn't being dramatic. He wasn't hating. He was breaking down cold, brutal reality.
6'6", just not just 6'6", but 6'6", and knows how to use every fucking inch of it. Knows how to keep that stick in your face. He was keep that jab in his face, and that right hand, if it hits you, you're fucked. And
Joshua walks around at 250 pounds, shredded, explosive, and built like a heavyweight Terminator. He's knocked out 22 fighters, many of them elite world-level boxers. He has over 10 years of professional experience, Olympic gold, championship rounds, war after war after war. And Jake has power and confidence. He has made millions convincing the world he's a dangerous fighter, but he's still a guy with less than a decade of training. And the heaviest man he's fought was slow 40-year-old Tyron Woodley at 190 pounds. The gap is ridiculous.
I mean, dude, the speed that he hits him with this, he's so dangerous, man. It's like you're dealing with a guy who's an Olympic gold medalist.
And Rogan tried to explain this from day one. He said Joshua's punch is career-altering. This is the guy who knocked out Francis Ngannou, the former UFC heavyweight champion who hits harder than anyone Joe has ever seen. Joshua dropped Ngannou like a bag of sand. Jake Paul surviving even one clean shot from that kind of power. I leave the answer to you.
That's the fight.
That's going to be a big fight.
Big fight.
Yeah.
So when Jake suddenly decided he wasn't going through with the fight, Rogan was angry that it took this long. He was angry that Jake dragged the hype, dragged the fans, dragged the entire boxing community into something that was never real to begin with. Rogan said Jake looked terrified, and honestly, it's hard to argue. Anyone would be. Getting into the ring with Joshua means you're signing up for a demolition mission.
They're all fucking
They've
crazy.
all done weird shit.
They're fucking crazy.
Ben never could wrestle. He could never box.
No.
He's a wrestler. Tyron Woodley. I was so sad when Tyron Woodley kept losing to him. I love T. Wood, man.
But here's where Joe really lost it. This wasn't even the first time Jake pulled something like this. Just 15 days earlier, the same drama happened with Gervonta Tank Davis. Jake hyped up the fight, made it sound like it was happening, stirred the pot, got people talking, and then suddenly everything ended before it began. Tank, a 135-pound knockout machine, called him out publicly for backing out. And now Joshua, a man nearly 100 pounds heavier than Tank? The pattern was too obvious for Rogan to ignore.
Some stuff you could do for the entertainment, but then, hey man,
there's a line.
we talked about repercussions, bro.
Yeah.
And he said it straight. Jake loves the noise, but he doesn't want the real smoke. Not Tank's smoke. Definitely not Joshua's smoke. Rogan said this isn't fight promotion anymore. This is fear disguised as strategy.
200 pounds versus 252 pounds. We got a 252 pounder in Anthony Joshua.
You could hear the disappointment in his voice when he talked about the size difference. Jake at 200 pounds versus Joshua at 250 is not a fight. It's a massive biological disadvantage. Joshua's reach is longer, his legs are stronger, his punch resistance is higher, his ring IQ is on another planet. Rogan said this was like throwing an amateur into a lion's cage and calling it a fair test. And honestly, he's right.
You take a guy who just had a boxing match that looks like a sparring match with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, and then you're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists in the heavyweight division.
Joe wasn't attacking Jake to be mean. He was attacking him because boxing already suffers from circus fights, broken matchups, and hype-driven chaos. Jake stopping the fight felt like a slap in the face to the sport, and Rogan felt that betrayal deeply. He said if Jake truly wanted to prove himself, he would have fought a real cruiserweight contender first. Someone like Breedis, Okolia, or even a ranked top 15 name, but not Anthony Joshua. Rogan said this was clout chasing at its most reckless.
Well, by the sounds of it, there's 50 million reasons why Anthony Joshua's taken this fight. In my head, I never ever thought this fight would happen. Why? Because of Anthony Joshua's desire to be in the history books, to be a 3-time heavyweight champion of the world. To me, it shows me his desire.
And when Jake stopped the fight, Rogan said the truth leaked out. Jake was scared. Joe even mentioned that the data proves this fear isn't exaggerated. Heavyweight knockouts generate nearly 7 times the brain acceleration forces compared to knockouts at Jake's normal weight. Joshua's average punch force in his prime was measured at over 1,000 pounds of impact. The human skull cracks at around 520 pounds. Rogan used those numbers to say Jake wouldn't just lose, he'd get destroyed. So when Jake bailed out, Joe exploded. Not because he didn't expect it, but because he expected it from the day the fight was rumored. And now, the entire world sees exactly what Rogan was trying to say. Jake's mouth is writing checks his body has 0 chance of cashing, and Joe Rogan was done pretending otherwise. The brutal truth behind this entire meltdown starts with one thing. The size and skill gap between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul is so ridiculous, so wildly unfair that calling it a mismatch doesn't even do it justice. It's beyond mismatch. It's biological disrespect. Joshua isn't just bigger, he's built differently.
The timing in that right hand, just spectacular.
That's a stepping in as well.
Over the top. I mean, that was a full force shot to the temple. I mean, he's Fucksville right now.
Joshua is big, heavy puncher, but not as evasive. So I think if Jake has the right game plan, he has a pretty good shot of winning this fight.
This is a man who stands at a towering 6'6", weighs around 250 pounds without even trying, and hits pads with the kind of force that makes rooms go quiet. His arms are basically pistons, his shoulders look like they were carved from concrete, and his reach, 82 inches, is the kind of reach that makes trainers laugh because there's nothing you can teach to match it. Meanwhile, Jake Paul shows up at barely 6'1", maybe 200 pounds after chugging a gallon of water with a reach that doesn't even come close. Joshua is operating with a biomechanical advantage that is almost unfair from the opening bell, and Rogan has been screaming this from the rooftops. Jake Paul stepping into a ring with a man this size is not bravery, it's not ambition, it's not even delusion, it's straight up career suicide.
Be the same for all of us, you know. Honestly, all of us, many a greats have walked it before, all of the undercard are gonna walk it, I'm gonna feel just like any of them, but when I step into that ring, that's when I switch on and I'm ready. So
Usyk beat him, and he beat him twice, and Andy Ruiz caught him in the first fight.
Joshua's resume just adds gasoline to the fire. This man has been in wars, heavyweight wars, the kind of fights that break bones, end careers, and rewrite the history of the division. He's fought Vladimir Klitschko in front of 90,000 people. 90,000! He's fought Andy Ruiz twice, fought Usyk twice, fought Povetkin, Pulev, Dillian White. The list reads like a collection of the heavyweight division division's most dangerous men.
A professional heavyweight fight against an elite world champion in his prime. When I beat Anthony Joshua, every doubt will disappear. He's talking to you, Charlamagne.
Okay. Meanwhile, Jake's list looks like he's been collecting action figures. Retired MMA fighters in their late 30s. A wrestler, a basketball player, a YouTuber. One actual boxer with one actual pro fight. Rogan kept saying it. This isn't just a gap in experience. This is a canyon so wide you could build a highway through it. And that's why Rogan didn't sugarcoat anything. He said this fight wasn't just risky, it was stupid. It was the boxing equivalent of taking a house cat to a lion sanctuary and hoping the lion takes it easy.
I mean, just steps into it with every ounce of his body. Perfect right hand. So the fact that Jake Paul wants to fight that guy.
That's exactly why Rogan exploded when the news came in that Jake had reportedly stopped the fight, because Rogan predicted this exact moment weeks ago. He said Jake would talk big until fight week, but once he saw Anthony Joshua up close, not on a poster, not on Instagram, not in a highlight reel, but in real life, moving, breathing, warming up, he would panic, and that is exactly what happened. The moment Jake walked past Joshua's camp, everything changed.
Hang on, he's taking his time.
Joshua's warm-up alone was enough to send someone into survival mode. Joshua doesn't warm up like a normal fighter, he warms up like a man preparing for combat. He paces back and forth with that heavy, cold focus that only heavyweights have. His punches echo. Every strike sounds like wood snapping. The energy around him shifts the room. His trainers barely blink. They've done this 100 times because Joshua is built for one thing: destruction.
And that's just going to make him more dangerous. He's going to be terrifying, and he's going to have a lot to prove. He's going to be very angry that Jake Paul wants to fight him. Very upset that this YouTuber who's fought...
Jake saw that, and it hit him like a bucket of ice water. His entire persona, the confidence, the bravado, the trash talk, it all collapsed in seconds. People who were there said Jake's face changed instantly. His smile disappeared. His chest tightened. He didn't look like a fighter ready for a legendary moment. He looked like someone standing way too close to a wild animal who suddenly realizes it is not behind any glass. The terror wasn't subtle, it was visible. Rogan called it the breaking point, that moment when reality slaps you hard enough to knock the fantasy out of your head. And that's when Jake pulled the plug. That's when everything stopped.
So I think AJ will struggle because it's an all-win situation. If he goes in there and Jake Paul lasts the distance, what does he tell you about AJ? Apart from he's just earned an extra 50 million quid.
Rogan didn't hold back. He said this wasn't strategy. This wasn't business. This wasn't negotiations falling apart. This was raw fear. The kind of fear that shows up in your chest and refuses to let you breathe. Rogan said Jake didn't stop the fight because he wanted different terms. He stopped it because he wanted to survive. Because one right hand from Joshua could end his career, his brand, and possibly a whole lot more. Rogan even said that Jake's brain probably reacted before Jake even realized it. Fight or flight kicked in, and Jake chose flight. And honestly, when the force behind Joshua's punches is known to generate over 1,000 pounds of pressure, nearly double what it takes to fracture a skull, Rogan said only an idiot would ignore that.
Be the same for all of us, you know. Honestly, all of us, many a greats have walked it before. All of the undercard are gonna walk it, I'm gonna walk it, I'm gonna feel just like any of them. But when I step into that ring, that's when I switch on and I'm ready. So
the part that made Rogan even angrier was the pattern. This wasn't the first time Jake backed out of a terrifying matchup. It had happened just 15 days earlier with Gervonta Tank Davis, a much smaller man, but a far more lethal puncher. Tank actually called Jake out for running, and now here it was again, but on a much bigger, much scarier scale. Rogan couldn't take it anymore. He said Jake loves the attention of calling out monsters, but the moment things get real, like actually real, he folds. And that's why Rogan attacked him. Not because he hates Jake, but because he's tired of the games, tired of the clout chasing, tired of pretending these matchups make any sense. In Rogan's eyes, Jake didn't just stop the fight, he exposed himself, he showed fear, he showed doubt, and he showed that deep down, even he knows Anthony Joshua is a level of danger he wants no part of.
So the glory, there's probably not much glory in it, apart from the haters of Jake Paul to say, right, I've got rid of this kid. I think it's very brave of Jake Paul. So now the problem child has got to believe this fight's actually happening. So now you've got our attention.
Fans didn't hold back for a second. The second the news broke that Jake pulled out against Joshua, social media turned into a full-on comedy festival. Memes exploded everywhere. Jake running, Jake hiding, Jake packing his bags the moment Joshua wrapped his hands. People were ruthless. Everyone was dragging him for ducking back-to-back killers. And in the middle was Jake, looking like he barely survived a haunted house.
It's not about, you're not playing tiddlywink. This is the only game you can't play. You can play football, golf, tennis. You can't play boxing.
But the backlash didn't stop with fans. The entire boxing industry shook like someone hit it with a wrecking ball. Promoters started scrambling, trying to figure out how to fill the massive hole Jake's decision left behind. These events take months to plan, millions of dollars in logistics, contracts, venues, international broadcasting deals. And Jake's exit basically set everything on fire. Sponsors were livid. They signed checks expecting a blockbuster. Instead, they got cancellations, refunds, and public chaos. There were even rumors of breached contracts, lawyers getting involved, and broadcasters calling emergency meetings because Jake's bailout triggered a domino effect across networks. The ripple effect was huge. Millions lost. Streaming schedules ruined. Entire fight week content wiped out, and all because Jake realized Anthony Joshua wasn't just another retired MMA fighter with bad knees. He was a real heavyweight prepared to rearrange his face. Rogan summed it up perfectly. Jake didn't just cancel a fight, he caused a shockwave that went through fans, fighters, promoters, networks, and sponsors. All because when things finally got real, Jake Paul did what he always does when faced with real danger. He ran.
Very upset that this YouTuber who's fought Tommy Fury, who's a legit boxer, and a couple other guys that were legit boxers. That's it.
Rogan said flat out that Jake is writing checks with his mouth that would get most people hospitalized. And then he hammered the point every hardcore fight fan already knew. Heavyweight boxing is not YouTube boxing. One division is entertainment, the other is a survival test. Rogan went deep on the fact that real heavyweights don't play. He said heavyweight boxing is where a single punch can end a career, end consciousness, and sometimes end lives. And that's why he called Jake's team reckless, because they act like this is influencer sparring while Joshua is in a division where men hit with the force of baseball bats. Rogan ended the rant with that "I warned you all" tone that made the entire thing feel like prophecy. He didn't say he was right to brag. He said he was right because the danger was obvious. Everyone else just refused to see it.
Any bullshit that it sucks and it's there, but it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just like, oh, this has happened before. Thick skin, cool, move on.
Then Jake decided to respond, and that's when the meltdown really kicked off. Instead of owning the situation or giving a straight explanation, he fired off emotional tweets like someone trying to convince themselves more than anyone else. He blamed Joshua's camp for unfair terms. He claimed there were secret clauses, shady negotiations, last-minute changes, and even suggested he had injuries nobody knew about. Suddenly, Jake had a laundry list of excuses that sounded like they were pulled straight from a crisis PR handbook.
60 years old.
Right.
I want Jake Paul to fight guys that...
He said he wants to fight Canelo.
Canelo fights 154 or 160. That's one of his best weights. Right. He'll fight heavier. Right.
He tried saying the weight differences weren't safe, which was ironic since that was literally Rogan's entire point from day one. Fans saw right through it. Comment sections were brutal. People were posting screenshots, roasting the excuses, and dragging him for pretending he didn't see the mismatch until fight week. And Rogan took those excuses and dismantled them piece by piece. He said if Jake knew the terms were unfair, he wouldn't have spent weeks hyping the fight online. If he was injured, he wouldn't have been lifting weights on Instagram 2 days before. And if he really thought Joshua was too big, then why sign the contract at all? Rogan said it felt like Jake was scrambling to rebuild a reputation that had just fallen apart in real time.
Jake fought a guy who was his age and was also considered a boxer, and he lost.
And that reputation took a violent hit. Jake's entire brand runs on the idea that he's fearless, the YouTuber who dares to fight anyone. But suddenly fans weren't buying the mythology anymore. The pattern was too obvious. The Tank Davis retreat was fresh, and now the Joshua cancellation made it look undeniable. Jake only fights people he outweighs, outreaches, or outages. Anyone smaller, older, retired, or injured is fine. But the moment someone dangerous steps forward, Jake becomes allergic to paperwork. The boxing world noticed too. Promoters hate unreliable fighters. Networks hate last-minute cancellations. Broadcasters hate having to rewrite their entire weekend schedule because one guy panicked. Jake didn't just lose a fight, he damaged his credibility. Everyone was asking the same questions. Will any elite fighter ever take him seriously again? Will any promoter risk millions on someone who might bail the second he sees a real threat warming up? And most importantly, does Jake ever actually plan to step into the ring with someone who can hurt him back?
Wrestle yet? You know, I mean, think about who has he fought that could really wrestle. Prohaska is like a...
The uncertainty around his future became a dark cloud hanging over every conversation. Some fans said he should go back to influencer fights. Others said he should retire completely. Some said he needed a real trainer, a real camp, a real game plan, not just hype reels and callouts. But the one thing nobody questioned was that this whole fiasco damaged him way more than any loss inside a ring ever could. Losing a fight is normal, running from one is unforgettable, and Jake had now done it twice in 2 weeks. Rogan wrapped up the entire disaster with one final punchline, the kind of line that hits harder because it's true. He said, "You can run from Tank, you can run from Joshua, but you can't hide from the truth." And the truth is simple. Jake Paul loves to play the role of the fearless underdog until the lights get bright and the threat becomes real. Then the walls close in and the character collapses. Rogan didn't say it with hatred. He said it with frustration. Frustration that Jake keeps pretending to be one thing while his actions reveal something completely different. And now the world waits for the next chapter. Will Jake finally step up? Will he avoid dangerous fighters forever? Will Rogan roast him again on the next episode? Because right now, the only thing more unpredictable than Jake Paul's boxing career is how badly Rogan is going to roast him the next time he runs.